I think jealousy is one of the most common emotions people feel, but also one of the least talked about. We celebrate when people get engaged, when they get the promotion, and when they buy the house, but sometimes deep down, there's a little voice that says, why not me? And today, I want to talk about that feeling, because jealousy isn't just something to ignore or feel ashamed of. Sometimes jealousy is actually revealing something deeper happening in our hearts. And the Bible actually has a lot to say about jealousy, because jealousy has destroyed relationships, families, and even entire kingdoms.
And just to kind of, I'm sure a lot of you know the definition of jealousy, but just to kind of refresh on that, it's basically a feeling where you either want what somebody else has or you're afraid to lose something that's already yours.
With that said, we're going to start the podcast off by talking about the story of Cain and Abel. So this is just like a quick background story about the story about Cain and Abel. So Cain and Abel were the first sons of Adam and Eve. Cain was a farmer who worked the ground. Abel was a shepherd who kept flocks. Both brothers brought offerings to God. Cain brought fruits from the ground. Abel brought the firstborn of his flock and the best portions. God favored Abel's offering, but he did not favor Canaan's offering. This causes Cain to become extremely angry and jealous. God warned Cain about his anger, but Cain ignored the warning and later killed his brother Abel. Cain noticed that Abel's offering was accepted while his was not. Instead of focusing on improving his own offering or understanding why, he focused on comparing himself to his brother. Comparison is often where jealousy begins. It can create resentment instead of motivation.
In a way, he's almost telling God that he's not happy with what God has given him. So, because everyone's blessings are different at different times.
Yep.
So I feel like it's hard to accept. Like, it's hard to accept what we have in life when we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people.
Exactly, because he's jealous of his brother. He wishes that he wishes that God was giving, like God was giving
and blessing him.
He's giving his brother.
Yes,
he wished that he was getting that because,
but he's not realizing that everyone has different blessings at different times, and he's not appreciating what he has. He's comparing himself to that,
which that is so common in just like life in general, because I feel like everyone does that, including me.
It's a very easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm. One of the most interesting parts of this story is that God actually speaks to Cain before anything bad happens. God says to Cain in Genesis 4:7, "Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." And this is powerful because it shows that Cain had a choice. His jealousy and anger were real emotions, but he still had the ability to control how he responded to them.
Yes, so you can't always control how you're feeling, but you can control what to do with those feelings. And honestly, that's almost more powerful. It's harder, and that can make it more powerful.
And those feelings and those emotions aren't necessarily sinful, but it's what you do with those emotions and where it takes you, that's where it becomes more sinful.
Cain did not deal with his jealousy in a healthy way. After Cain kills Abel and God asks him, "Where is your brother?" Cain responds with the famous line, "Am I my brother's keeper?" So this moment reveals Cain's lack of responsibility and compassion. He's asking, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And that actually highlights on an important moral idea that we do have responsibilities towards other people. So in healthy relationships and communities, people care about each other rather than just trying to compete with each other. Cain and Abel show how envy can grow in someone's heart, and when they compare themselves to someone else. Cain became jealous of Abel because God favored Abel's offering. Instead of fixing his own heart, he let envy take over, and that's what led to sin. The same kind of jealousy shows up later in the story of Saul and David.
Saul became jealous of David's success. When David defeated Goliath and started winning battles, people praised him. The women sang that David killed more enemies than Saul. And Saul became jealous. Instead of being happy for David, he started seeing him as a threat.
And then that jealousy turned Saul against David. Saul's jealousy grew so strong that he tried to kill David multiple times. Even though David was loyal and served him, Saul let jealousy control his actions and his decisions.
even when Saul tried to harm him, David refused to kill Saul when he had the chance to. So David chose to trust God and to show respect instead of letting jealousy or revenge control him. Actually, you guys, I saw a video online that said never be jealous of what God does for somebody else, because what God has for you is for you only. And he's never going to deliver your mail to somebody else's house. And I feel like that's kind of powerful. I saw a TikTok on that, and I was like, cool jotting that down.
Yeah.
But jealousy, it truly is a dark thing. So people will smile on your face and be wishing, they'll smile on your face, tell you that they're happy for you, but they'll be secretly wishing on your downfall. And you don't always know who that is, and that's not really your thing to know, but God knows.
Yeah.
So keep close to him. And
in like the Saul and David story, Saul was still king, even though like he was still the ruler, but since everyone was like looking up to David at this time, jealousy convinced Saul that he was losing everything. So, which is strange, because it's like he was still ruler, but jealousy made him think that he was losing it all.
Yeah.
One of the clearest stories in the Bible of jealousy is Joseph and his brothers.
They were jealous of their father's favoritism.
Yeah, their father favored Joseph over all the other brothers, and all of his brothers were jealous of him. And obviously that jealousy is going to overtake everything, and they did so many cruel things to Joseph.
Why? They were jealous of him.
Yeah, what did they all do? They threw him in that lion's den.
In a pit. So, okay.
They also sold him to slavery.
Oh, yeah.
They sold Joseph.
So they did multiple
They were
things.
jealous because he gave him that special coat. I don't remember it's a cartoon now. So they gave him that special coat, and that made his brothers very, very jealous of him and caused them to resent Joseph. So that jealousy eventually led them to betray him. Because their jealousy grew so strong, the brothers threw Joseph into a pit and eventually sold him into slavery instead of treating him like family.
Your brothers throwing you into a pit. Like, sometimes you might feel like my brother's betraying me right now, but throwing you into like a lion's pit is insane.
And then to just sell you off
to slavery, like,
because your father's favoring you.
Well, I think this story ties along with our other podcast that we did about forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because it starts off by showing jealousy and how powerful jealousy is, but then it ends with forgiveness and healing of their relationship. Mm-hmm. And it shows how like jealousy can lead to terrible decisions, but forgiveness can heal those relationships. And obviously getting thrown into a lion's pit and getting sold to slavery, that's huge to forgive that. Like, how do you forgive for doing that? But it just shows like how strong forgiveness is.
A good point to also like make about this story is that his brothers weren't necessarily villains, because they were family, and jealousy makes good people do horrible things. Yeah. Like, just because they're family and brothers and they were good to each other, the moment like favoritism happened between the dad and Joseph, jealousy made his brothers do horrible things. And
God did still kind of use this situation for good, because even though their jealousy caused harm, God still had a plan. Joseph eventually became a powerful leader in Egypt and was able to save his family from famine. So all of these stories show that jealousy and envy can lead people to make very harmful choices. Cain hurt Abel, Saul tried to harm David, and Joseph's brothers betrayed him. But the Bible teaches that when people let jealousy control their hearts, it leads to sin and to broken relationships. And instead, we should just trust him and be thankful for everything that he has given us.
Yeah. Those are all just a few stories in the Bible about jealousy and how God like teaches us about jealousy and teaches us like what it is and how to not necessarily prevent it, but how to prevent it and how to grow from it. And so we just want to talk more honestly about modern jealousy, because those are all stories where they're like jealous of obviously things that we could possibly be jealous of, but like I feel like, sometimes
we're not throwing our siblings in a big den with
that's what I was gonna say. Like sometimes the Bible, like the old stories are crazy. It's like, what? You're telling me like the flood? Like what? Yeah. So sometimes they're just so crazy. But yeah, so we just wanted to talk about a little bit more about modern jealousy and examples and how we can overcome that jealousy and how we can overcome even like that little feeling of, I wish that was me right now.
So piggybacking off of this, the first thing we're going to talk about is jealousy in relationships. So jealousy in romantic relationships is one of the most common emotions people experience. In small amounts, it can come from a place of caring about someone and not wanting to lose them. But when jealousy becomes intense or constant, it can start to damage trust and communication. A lot of relationship jealousy comes from fear. Fear is being replaced, fear of not being enough, or fear of being hurt. Sometimes this fear comes from past experiences like betrayal or abandonment, and sometimes it comes from insecurity within ourselves. Another big factor today is social media. People constantly see pictures of other couples who appear to have perfect relationships. This can lead to comparison and insecurity, which can trigger jealousy. Someone might start questioning their partner's loyalty or intentions even when nothing is actually wrong. Healthy relationships rely on trust and communication. When jealousy shows up, it can actually be an opportunity for growth if it's talked about honestly. Instead of accusing a partner or becoming controlling, it can be helpful to say something like, "This situation made me feel insecure and I would like to talk about it." That kind of vulnerability can build deeper understanding. However, jealousy becomes unhealthy when it turns into controlling behavior, constant suspicion, checking phones or messages, isolating a partner from friends. At this point, jealousy stops being about care and starts becoming about control or insecurity. The Bible speaks to this when describing what real love should look like. In 1 Corinthians 13:4, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy. This verse reminds us that love should not be driven by comparison or perseverance. Real love allows freedom, trust, and respect between two people.
And in this, like, just for relationships, sometimes we're jealous that, like, they found their person before I did. But you have to remember, God has your person. It's just maybe today's not the right day for you to find that person. Or within the relationship, you're jealous of, like, their friends, or the fact that they are very outgoing or maybe not so outgoing or whatever, or they share a lot or they don't, or whatever. Like, you're jealous of your person, and why aren't you also like that? But God specifically designed your person for you so that you guys complement each other and you guys are good for each other. So, like, within that, you always have to refer back to God and be like, no, God gave us this so that this is what it would be like, and so that it would work. And sometimes you have to work through those hard feelings, but
yeah, definitely. I feel like the same can go with friendships in a way as well. And it's easy, like Kate was saying, with friendships, it can be easy to compare yourself to other people as well. I think one way to deal with that is we have to recognize that God made us all different. So we all have different minds.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to strive to be the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
We each are our own person, so it's easy to try to be like someone else.
Yeah.
But you just have to be the best version of yourself, and that's
Yeah.
wonderful, and that is good enough. And that's all that God wants, is for you to be the best version of yourself. You might even look up to someone or want to be like someone that's like some sort of like Christian influencer. But it's not even good to compare yourself or try to be like them either, because you want to be
the best version of you. Because on social media, like, you have to also keep in mind that what you're seeing on social media, even though everybody says this, and I feel like this is such a popular line from influencers, like, it is literally a minute of their day. Like, it's not even, so they are showing you every amazing thing. So don't necessarily go and look at that and be like, oh, they have bad things coming their way too. But if you're looking at it from your life and be like, if I were to put all my great things in one little video, you will notice you have amazing things in your life as well. And you don't necessarily have to be jealous of what they have. Like, you can be happy for them and be like, wow, that's awesome, whatever, but you also have such amazing things.
A jealous heart is a lack of contentment with God.
Yeah.
Yeah, because social media, it's so hard nowadays. Everyone has social media. Everyone looks at social media. Everyone takes pieces of social media and tries to put that in their life. Like, social media is so hard that it can ruin relationships. It definitely can, and it's hard because people don't post tough parts of their life.
No.
They don't post bad things of their life on social media.
And even if they kind of post, like, I want to be real with you guys. They're not giving it all to you because it's hard.
And you can't go off of what people post and wish your life was like that, because everyone goes through their own things, but you're not going to post that on social media. Like, maybe, I don't know, like, I'm speaking of, like, Instagram. Like, you only post pictures of your like,
amazing
fun life that you're having, or this place you go,
like all the trips, all the relationship stuff.
I know, that's all I post.
Me too.
You don't post like the bad pictures. You don't post the bad things that happen in your life. Like, that's just not how social media works. So you can't compare that, because you don't know what's going on.
Yes, and even though we know that's easier said than done, but sometimes you do just need to bring yourself back, remind yourself. Yes.
That is honestly probably the best way to get out of that jealous mindset, is to just remind yourself that, you know what, like, looking at their life, look at my life, look at everything I have in my life, like, I am just as whatever, and keep yourself centered in the fact that God has something for you that is meant for you. Like you were saying, your mail is meant for your mailbox.
Yep, he's not going to deliver it to somebody else's house.
So even if the thing that he has for you isn't necessarily what you're jealous of from someone else, it is something better for you personally.
Yep, everyone has blessings at different times.
And comparison will make someone else's blessing feel like it's your loss, but really someone else's blessing does not cancel yours.
Yes. So jealousy in friendships is often talked about less, but it can be just as powerful, because friends often share many parts of their lives together. I mean, I know myself, I'm an open book. So when one person experiences success or a big life change, the other person might unintentionally start to compare themselves, and that's not their fault. So like, if one friend gets engaged or gets married, or someone gets a new promotion or a new job, even as much as just someone moving forward in life when the other person feels stuck, sometimes that jealousy doesn't come from wanting bad for your friend. It's rather coming from a place of feeling like you're falling behind. A person might still love their friend deeply, but they might still struggle internally with these feelings. So if jealousy isn't addressed, it can slowly create distance in the friendship. So a jealous person might start withdrawing, making passive comments, or feeling resentment. Over time, this can damage the trust and the closeness that the friendship once had.
An important way to deal with jealousy in a friendship is learning to celebrate others when it's difficult. And this doesn't mean ignoring your own feelings, but it means recognizing that someone else's success does not take away from your own worth or your own future. The Bible encourages the mindset in Romans 12:15, rejoice with those who rejoice. This verse reminds us that strong relationships involve sharing joy, not comparing with one another. So you always want to share all their joy. They want, like, friends, I want to be excited for my friends, and my friends, I want my friends to be excited for me. And that I don't want them to be jealous. Like, I'd rather them celebrate all the fun things, and even if it's the little things.
Yeah, rejoice with those who rejoice.
If you've struggled with jealousy before, you're not necessarily a bad person, and you're honestly just a human being. Being jealous is an invitation to look deeper. Sometimes it's revealing a dream God placed inside of you, and sometimes it's revealing insecurity that God wants to heal. But the most important thing to remember is that your story is not behind, and your life is not late. And someone else's blessing does not mean that God skipped over you.